Hello and good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Nintendo, as where we come together every week to talk about the video games we're playing and news in the industry. As always, I'm Dane, and today I'm joined by guest host Travis.
What's up, guys? Travis. You can find me on Instagram and all that. Well, I'll make sure to plug that at the end of the show.
All right, and we're just gonna. I don't have a lot of housekeeping today. It's just I'm still kind of working on some other projects right now, so he's taking the week off again from this. So we're just gonna get right into it. So Travis, what have you been up to? What you've been playing recently?
Because Xbox Game Pass recently dropped Dirt 5. I've been jumping that on the Series X. Not sure how I'm feeling about it. Definitely took a turn, and I can definitely touch more on that. But more excitingly, I've been playing using Game Pass on PC, which also just got announced to include EA Play. So on that, I've been hitting some of those old classic Battlefields on PC, seeing those at the new crispy 120 frames per second.
Oh, sweet. All right. If you want to talk more about everything, because like I last week, I haven't played anything new since last week. Where I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and we kind of did like a whole 40-minute episode on that last week. So like not a whole lot has changed. I've only been really playing it yesterday and today a bit, and it's just like it's more of the same stuff. It's just like I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to trying to. It's just like it's just what I wanted right now. I wanted just a long game to kind of sink into and just like oh and just like get invested in for a while. So
Right, something you can sink your teeth into. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Oh,
I'm definitely about that.
all right. Okay, so we're just gonna move on to our first topic of the show. So of course, uh, last week we didn't talk about news very much, and we're gonna. So I'd like to just bring up the one topic that was on everyone's tongues last week.
Yeah, that hot
Is
button issue.
Yeah, we are gonna dive into the Xbox Bethesda roundtable, and we're just gonna kind of just bring up the one quote that everyone's been talking about from Phil Spencer. All he said in the roundtable. Obviously, I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is an Xbox exclusive because we know that's not true. He explained. That's There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through. We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go and support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we will continue to invest in them. Even in the future, there might be either contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. So, the biggest thing here that everyone all has kind of been like putting the foot has been like kicking the ball around on is his use of the word legacy, where it's just like, does this mean like, oh, if you had Skyrim or Elder Scrolls or Fallout stuff that's been on PlayStation before, but the new installments of those games are going to come out? And like, I think what everyone's kind of come down to is like, legacy means games that like, if there's a game like as it exists on a platform already. If it needs updates, if they go back and do DLC or things like that, they'll support that as well. But I don't think this generally means Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be coming to PlayStation. It's just like, where do you come down on this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely so. Number one, like the acquisition to Bethesda, if you are in the Xbox ecosystem, number one, it's a huge deal to you. Or if you haven't stepped into the Xbox ecosystem, it's a great reason too. It's going to bring a lot of people to Game Pass. Stuff like that is going to be a huge draw for Xbox fans. Um, it's the fans of Bethesda or the fans that are fans of Bethesda of the bygone era, because Bethesda now is not Bethesda before. Unfortunately, 76 flop. Not something to write home about. Wolfenstein Youngblood again, nothing to write home about. There have been okay Bethesda games, but they're nothing great. It's not your Fallout New Vegas's, which of course is Obsidian, but um, being that it's going to be linked, they're going to still seems like they're going to support legacy games. With that, I'm hoping that that means that while we may not see any new IPs, we may not see very much content drop for it. The games aren't going to go unsupported. You're if you bought it on PlayStation, you got it on PlayStation. If you bought it on PC, you bought it through Steam or any of the other clients, you can get it through PC. You're still going to get support for it. But seeing new things coming to Xbox, I feel like this is finally gonna start weighing down that typical argument where you hear, "Oh, Xbox has no games," Xbox has no exclusives. It is unfortunate for a lot of people that you're going to see a studio that people have known to be a multi-plat studio go single platform or majority single platform, but at the end of the day, it as a business decision, it was probably one of the better business decisions Microsoft could make, especially with acquiring Obsidian and all of those as well. The powerhouse of studios that they have now under their belt is something rivaling PlayStation's, single uh, single companies that they have.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's the thing. Is just like Xbox will hopefully turn the ship around. Is it's like having a greater variety of games is really because like the whole thing is like it's always been like it's either you have friends on Xbox already, so you get an Xbox, or like you're really into like shooters and driving games have been like the things that I see as like Xbox exclusives, and those don't really talk to me. With this acquisition, like Xbox speaks a little bit more to me, but like I've never been a huge Elder Scrolls guy, and like I tried playing Fallout, and it that didn't really speak to me at all. So like this definitely is like this looks this makes Xbox look more appealing to me, but by no means am
Right.
I getting online to buy an Xbox Series X to play these games. I mean, you were talking a bit before about how you're on Xbox Game Pass for PC. If anything,
Right.
like I think right now I'd probably just try and log back into I'd re up my subscription for Xbox Game Pass on PC to if I wanted to play any of these games.
That's fair. I mean, and I think that's the thing that Microsoft is actually like trying to do, rather than it trying to pull people to one direction or another. I think it's trying to give people a lot of options. If you're a PC player, generally it's Windows. You're running Windows. It's Microsoft is built into that ecosystem. Um, and if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you get Game Pass for both Xbox and PC, or you can choose one or the other. It's definitely giving you more options. I think. I mean, you look at Steam on PC. You have Steam, EA Origin. Those are your big ones. Now Blizzard, now that they're running their own launcher outside of WoW. Um, those are pretty much your limited options. And there was no, you had Steam sales, you had EA sales and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you were buying. Game Pass gives you a chance to try a load of games depending on what system you're on, whether you have a PC or you pick up a used Xbox One or you go ahead and get yourself a Series X. There's a lot of games for you to choose from on all those platforms. And I think that's something that's unique for Microsoft to do.
Yeah, it's just like and I'm trying to bring it up right now, but Game Pass, Bethesda, all it's just like this is like very much like a move towards all. Okay, I can't find the list right now. I'm not gonna try bothering too hard for it. But like Xbox really is trying to build up Game Pass and build up that service and have you
Right.
come in and be a part of their ecosystem to slowly get you into that. But like even with this Bethesda acquisition finally going through last week, we got 20 Bethesda games all coming to that came to Xbox Game Pass, and five of those got the FPS boost that
Yep.
that Xbox has just like brought out. So it's just like if you're a Bethesda fan, I mean like this is all something that someone brought up this past week. It's just like Bethesda is one of the few publishers out there that has had their own E3 all like presentation, like an hour long presentation that people show up to. It's just like
Right.
it's whether you're a fan of Bethesda or not, like I'm not a crazy huge Bethesda fan, but like I still can acknowledge like this is a huge deal regardless of where you stand on whether on what Bethesda on what games you actually enjoy or not. So it's just like it's interesting seeing this happen and seeing like how this will change things and move things going forward for Xbox. But that's gonna take a while before we get into any of that stuff.
Definitely, and this officially now brings single player games exclusively to Xbox, and that's something Xbox has been missing. Everything's generally been multiplayer, and I think seeing some single player campaigns, if Dishonored gets brought back, your Wolfenstein, your Fallout games outside of 76, generally they're all single player games. So, and that's going to be something interesting to have now is just standard single player games on an ecosystem like Microsoft.
All right, I think we've both spoken our piece for this, and I just wanted to get through it real quick. So
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna move on to our next news story here. We are gonna talk about introducing Haven, a new Montreal-based independent studio. This comes from the PlayStation blog this week. So this is written by Jade Raymond. I think like I didn't. I should have highlighted a quote for this, but all it comes down what like the thing was like just coming. I'm not gonna read this whole article, but this was something that I wasn't really hyped for until I got the backstory behind who Jade Raymond was. Like, Jade Raymond isn't really a Kojima or like, or a Miyamoto or anything like that. Like, we haven't. That isn't a name that like your average like gamer really knows. So I like what, but here's some of the work that she's done before. Like she started out in 2002 as a producer on The Sims Online, then moved on to producer for Assassin's Creed, then Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, managing director, executive producer on Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, and then this was like the only name on here that I don't know. The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. That I have no. That's one I don't know. But then like she's coming back says, oh, she works on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and like the worst thing about that game I think was mostly the conversation around like loot boxes and everything around it when that first came out. But then like and recently and she talks about in the PlayStation blog article about I think about how she was at all Stadia for a short amount of time before like that well, all of Stadia just got canned. So it's just like it's just like she's not a name I know, but like I know all of these things that she's worked on. Like I really enjoyed like Assassin's Creed 2 and I mean like Assassin's Creed Unity. I feel like that was kind of I mean that one is known more for how buggy it was, but I feel like that's kind of due to the cycle that Ubisoft was trying to chuck those out at, rather
yeah, that
than
that was a product of the industry, I believe. Unfortunately,
yeah. So I don't really fault her for that, but like seeing all these games that like are beloved and like you can find people like for most of these games all like love there are people that love these games so it's just like I got excited about this just based off of her past work. It'll be interesting seeing if this will come to anything, but
right?
what do you think?
I mean, so she's an industry veteran. She's been in and around the industry for a while. So this is somebody that I definitely think we need to keep an eye on. I don't think people should forget who Jade Raymond is. She put in her, in the blog a quote. We want to create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves, and find community. She said she want to pour passion into the project, and we want to make something wondrous for people to experience. Now, I'm hoping that she takes a lot of that drive and what made those games that she had worked on really really good. And again, I'm not aware of 100% of what she's done, what she had hands in and what she didn't have hands in. But with a background that she has, I feel like she could potentially bring something different to the gaming world. And with her work in Stadia as on a first party game studio, and then of course being in leadership roles in EA and Ubisoft, I think that as long as they stay away from that loot box can style gaming and really create those unique games, I really think that he can go far and become a Kojima and a Miyamoto and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like the general vibe that I got over this was like she's talking a lot about like how she's kind of gotten tired of the games as things as they are, and like this last paragraph here I'll read. It's just like together we want to create games that are haven for players, and we want to build a studio that is a haven for developers. So while we don't have many details to announce today, so like I mean, like it goes in like Haven Studios, pardon PlayStation there at the end, but like how she's saying like calling this new studio Haven and like Haven for players and Haven for developers. It's just like it sounds like someone who had like having the stink of like the whole loot box fiasco, which was totally a
Right.
corporate thing all for whatchamacallit for Battlefront, and then getting laid off from Google Stadia before any project that she was working on there could be produced and like actually have a chance to live at all is just like that. I feel like she's kind of been looking at how things have been happening with like layoffs and how like how up and down things is. I think what they're trying to build is something like where they want to put the game first and then everything else is second. So all
Right.
and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. It's just like if you can just all let the developers develop the game. It's just like give them the time that they need to develop it. I mean, like I feel like it's a punt. Like it's kind of we keep kicking the dead horse here, but like all Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's just like that was a game that was pushed out for holiday to try and like make a market like please investors. Oh man, I can't talk
Yeah.
today at all. A home and like the game suffered for it. It was just like let people develop their games and bring them when the game is fully done and ready to go.
Right, and I'm sure she's going to bring a lot of the experience from, or like, and learn from a lot of the negative experience, especially Ubisoft. We know they treated their developers less than stellar. That has not been a secret in the past few months. EA with again, like you said, the loot box fiasco, and she was there with Battlefront 2, and that was a big, oh my God, you're talking about the most hated company who made the most downvoted comment on Reddit. You're talking, coming out of something like that, that gives you a lot to learn from, and hopefully she takes a lot of those lessons learned and creates an environment that can be enjoyed by again by both gamers and developers, because I think uh, developers have been hardly are accounted for um, in the past few years in the gaming community.
All right, cool. Well, considering that we kind of went around to talking about layoffs and developers in here, I kind of want to kick it over to you. You have some articles
Yeah,
on the Activision Blizzard front. Hey, can you just
yeah,
refresh some of my memories on that? Because I've been like kind of in the haze this past week.
yeah. So earlier, I believe it was earlier this week, Activision Blizzard laid off a lot of. It was 190 people. Some people got given their compensation like you normally would, but Activision Blizzard, being Activision Blizzard, also paid out some of those employees in Blizzard gift cards. Um, these are things that I mean, it's a slap in the face, right?
Yeah.
Like number one, your CEO just made $200 million amid all of these layoffs, and you pay people out in Blizzard gift cards. Yeah, now I'm sure that some of those people were probably low end developers or writers, stuff like that. I'm sure the people who actually had their hands in it did get a decent payoff at the end. But at the end of the day, you're talking these are people. So um, recently, actually, about an hour now at this point, a new article just hit Kotaku. Um, More layoffs seem to be coming down the pipeline because Activision Blizzard looks like they're moving to close their European publishing offices. Now, again, this is a Kotaku article just dropped about an hour ago. This was a statement provided to GamesIndustry.biz. An Activision Blizzard rep explained that the move comes as a result of players increasingly choosing to connect with our games digitally. Thus, so number one, they're laying off a lot of people because they don't want to connect like the physical media, which is an insane excuse, right? Like I
That's bizarre.
Right, right. So here, continuing on his quote is, "We had shared plans with our teams in Europe for how we would evolve as an organization, adapting to this change to serve our players and best positioning the region for future growth." The statement continues, "We will be taking extensive steps to support all employees and ease the transition for those of our colleagues who might be impacted by proposed changes." Um, it's kind of weird, right? So it seems like some it's a very corporate excuse that was sent out. Like, oh, we're switching to more digital media. Why do you need to close a European office? Um, Very confusing. Um, but let's see. Where was it here?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. It is
So
the esport. Like I think it said like they said like I could have sworn it like they said like something like I mean, like I'm pulling stuff out of my head from something that I like was half paying attention to, but like it was just like I think they said that they were laying off like 2%, and like the math was or like they were saying like 50 people, and then like later on it came out that it was like 190 people that they were laying
yeah,
off, and it's just like earlier this year like they laid off apparently an estimated 800 people and then 200 more recently, and it's just
right.
like and then like you're it's there and like as you said is like their CEO is slated to receive a $200 million bonus for the publisher's performance through the pandemic. It's just like you're giving this guy $200 million, but you can't keep on some of this staff, and
Well, yeah, and I
this
mean, eh, look at what Activision Blizzard's using to make their money. You have Call of Duty Mobile, and you have WoW, right? This is what Activision Blizzard is running the gambit on. You're talking $20 battle passes all the time, all those extra things that you want to buy. And believe me, as somebody who plays Call of Duty quite a bit, the push to buy more and more stuff is there, and I think that's a lot of where this money is coming from. And you don't need a team of developers to make a skin and a gun skin and a quick little emblem and throw it up on the uh, Call of Duty store for $25. When you start looking at it, that's 50 almost 50% of your stand of one video. You sell two of those to one person a week, you're getting the cost of a video game out of thousands of people. What do you need to develop for? You need a small team that's all they're going to do is pump out these quick microtransactions, pump out the next Call of Duty, throw it full of more microtransactions, and repeat ad hominem.
this just makes me sick. It's just like I mean, like I don't know what to say here. Really, it's just like other than like this type of stuff just makes me sick. It's just like take care of your developers first. Like this guy's already probably got like a mega mansion somewhere, and then you're.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, this guy's sitting on pounds and mounds of gold, and like, it's they're trying to like I guess justify it with being like, oh well, we're not doing in person events anymore, so we don't need these teams to be
Yeah,
there.
like that made somewhat amounts of sense to me, like the whole esports thing and like all that,
Right.
like all because like oh, I was listening to that and it's just like they like there's were actually some a few before the whole pandemic thing. There were a bunch of cities that were actually building out an actual arena all for their esports teams, and it's just like but like
Yeah.
those physical like the physical people going to those things were usually few and far between. Like they had these all homestand events or whatever where they would just like try and get to that were designed around packing people all into those stadiums. But like it's
Right.
such a small thing. It's just like most of the people that I feel are going to actually watch an esports event is all are going to watch it digitally, like on their own time. It's just like, I mean, like the thing, like I'm not a sports guy by any means,
Right.
but the reason I enjoy going to a baseball game is because it's outside, and like the baseball game is more of a vehicle for me to go and enjoy being outside for the day and like be enjoying the nice day. It's just like I don't really want to pay to go and sit inside of a stuffy building and watch an
Right.
event.
Right, and watch somebody play video games. I mean, when you could sit at home on YouTube, you can sit at home on Twitch, and watch the same things. I mean, it's related but similar not. I actually recently started watching WWE again, and right now, 90% of their audience is watching virtually. They're running about a 10% inside audience, if that, at some events, and it hasn't changed the vibe of it at all.
The thing is, like WWE is actually a thing that I definitely like. Even though it's inside, that's something I don't think I could get into watching online. But like, I feel like going to an actual live event, I would totally be into it because like just being there and like the energy of the crowd and like because it's theater. It's just like theater is
Right.
best like well in person. It's just like, but so that's interesting. Oh. Hmm. Okay. I have no idea where I was going with this. Oh, sorry. I have to be honest sometimes.
Yeah,
But
no, I mean, just basically at the end of the day, I mean, it's Activision Blizzard being Activision Blizzard. I mean, it's no surprise that we're hearing about people being mistreated. It's no surprise that we're hearing people in the game industry who are the grunts, the peons, the people who aren't, again, like the big names, how they're treated and how they're disregarded very quickly when a company wants to get rid of them.
yeah,
And unfortunately, it dehumanizes these people, and it continues the toxicity of the uncertain sides of the gaming industry, where it's just people, developers are throw at the end of the day. It's not who's on the cover that next Madden.
yeah. It's just like, and then like being like, and like even from the players, like devs are like your regular standard dev is like mistreated the most by like players and all and like other ones because like if a game doesn't come out, you hear these horror stories of people like sending threats to the devs, like just like the
Yeah.
regular like 9 to 5 devs, like not like the people that are up higher up making the decisions. It's just like it's really a shame like how toxic the gaming community can be at times.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, people will blame anything on developers because it's easy to get to them. With Twitter nowadays, it's easy to send that DM. It's easy to tweet out that insult to a developer. And again, the work being done by these companies and showing it this way just again perpetuates the dehumanizing aspect of it. And I think unfortunately that's going to continue a cycle of toxicity until we start seeing these big companies start breaking up and breaking down, and these indie developers coming back up and really showing your support for indie developers is probably the best thing that you could do in this situation. Support them, follow them on Patreon, or whatever they have. There's always a way to support a creator that you enjoy.
All right, but after that, I think we're gonna move on to a bit of a palate cleanser here, talking about all so about a fun one. Today's GTA Online update is short, sweet, and this is up from by oh this is an article from Cass Marshall at Polygon. Today's GTA Online update is short, sweet, and contains a thank you to a player named Tost. Rockstar is also awarding Tost with $10,000. The reason for this reward? After logging in to try the newest heist, Tost became so frustrated by the load times that he proceeded to hunt down a solution to one of the game's most enduring problems. Full patch notes can be found on Rockstar's support page along with past updates. This fix may look small, but it is a huge improvement for GTA Online experience. The loading times for Los Santos were infamously long. When you're primed and ready to crime, sitting and waiting and watching the loading screen for 6 full minutes really takes the wind out of your sails. Toss update provided to cut loading times by 70% on his test rig, and he released his findings to the public. Rockstar confirmed the fix was legitimate to PC Gamer, and further stated, after a thorough investigation, we confirmed that player Toss did in fact reveal an aspect of the game code related to load times for the PC version of GTA Online that could be improved. So the $10,000 reward comes bit from a bug bounty program which offers rewards to players who discover privacy or security issues in Rockstar's games. This is the first time the bug bounty has paid out for someone discovering a technical issue. It's just like that's good. Like it's just like your community loves your game so much that they figured that they went into this, and then you reward that community for fixing this. And 70%, like that's a good deal. It was just like if it's saying it was taking like upwards of 6 minutes
Yep.
for all to load in. You are cutting off about 4 minutes on that load time, which is just like that is a good. I mean, still 2 minutes is kind of a chunky whole load time, but like cutting it down that much is just like that can only be a good thing.
Yeah. So I actually play GTA Online. Now it was great. I wholly appreciate Rockstar actually listening to a fan who was able to improve this and figure out this problem and solve it a little. Number one, couple of things. It Why did it take Rockstar this long to figure out something that apparently this guy said he figured out in about an hour and a half of tinkering around with the code? Figured out the problem. No, and it was a pretty simple fix. Apparently, it had a lot to do with only using a single core on multiple core processors. So that's something that was probably left in from the early PS3 360 days when it was being developed. Why did it take Rockstar this long to develop? Number one. Number two, this update originally, and I'm not sure if it has been fixed yet, broke the game on Xbox.
Oh wow, really?
Um, yes. So and Rockstar doesn't know why yet. So they actually ended up rolling back the Microsoft version of the game to the previous update to just figure out why it's glitching out the game, why it's crashing the game. Some people's whole Xboxes are crashing due to the new update. I personally, I haven't played it on Xbox in a really long time. I've been playing on PlayStation 4. Actually, right now while we're speaking, I'm timing my load time to see if it had improved. Now I'm playing on a PS4 Pro. I know that it definitely improved the load times more on updated gen hardware, so newer PCs, Xbox Series X's, PS5s. That's really where they saw the significant load boost. Um, but we have right now just clipped the 2 minute mark. Actually, it was 2 minutes 3 seconds is my load time startup to from the startup of loading online to getting into an online match was 2 minutes and 3 seconds, which I know is a significant improvement to the prior installation.
Yeah, like yeah, it was just like I didn't. So I had no idea about the Xbox things because like in the here in the article it said specifically said the PC version, and I didn't know like they were just gonna try and do the same thing through each of the different versions. It's just like you think
Yep.
like they would have tested that if they were going to like just move that fix over to other versions, you would have thought that they would have tested it on a on Xbox and PS5 before they sent it live. But
Yeah, so it
so
was the Xbox One that it was crashing on. It was the
Xbox,
Xbox One version. Yeah.
okay. So
And it just boots people out of the loading screen.
But kind of sucks. Is it's like I mean, yeah, and you are right. It's just like, or I like it does kind of suck that Rockstar took this long to get into it and fix it. But like, I feel like part of the problem there is like I feel like when you have one person that's like individually like going through, it's just like, okay, how can I fix this? I feel like it's a lot different. It's just like when you're that big of a company, like your priority list. I mean, like I feel like I'm trying to apologize for them, which like I really don't want to sound like, but like it's just like when you're that big, you're kind of focused more on the bigger picture of things. So I don't know.
Definitely, sure. But like I guess with this being something that was has been complained about and people have been vocally annoyed with the load times. I mean, you're talking memes are everywhere
Okay.
uh,
I mean that goes back.
about the GTA load time.
Yeah, and that goes into like me not being a part of the community. If I was a part of the community, I'm sure like this is something that would have been a bit more on my radar than
Right.
it has been. All right. Um. Okay, so I think we got one big one, and then one that I think is just gonna be real quick. So
Yep.
a week or two ago we got the news that PlayStation is working on a PSVR 2, and
Right.
then this week they came out and they have shown the next gen VR on PS5. They are showing off the new controllers, which I probably should have brought up for the thing, but whatever. I mean, like looking at the picture of them on the website, they look very much like
Yep.
um, the Oculus.
With a
What?
little bit of different styling to them, but they're super close to like that
Yeah,
ring look.
yeah. It's just like instead of like I feel like the ring goes forward on the Oculus ones, whereas like this one kind of goes back over the hand. It's just,
Yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting, like, it'll go over your wrist,
yeah,
wrap around the wrist, type of look. I'm looking at them right
yeah.
here
Think like a
myself.
saber hilt, like
Yeah,
like one of those fancy ornate saber hilts that goes over the hand. It's just like
yeah,
those. They look interesting, but it's just like I'm not gonna get too far into it. It's just like well they talk about a bit about being able to track finger movement. I think is something that's coming to them. They of
yep,
course added the adaptive triggers from the Dual Sense, and
yep. Haptic feedback.
yeah. So I mean, like they look cool, but like I'm kind of surprised that we got this news this quickly because when we got that PSVR announcement, we got no pictures, nothing. It was just like they were very clear like this isn't coming this year, and like
Right.
for us to get this announcement just I'm like a month or so later is just like that's like maybe it's a whole lot closer than we think it is. This is like what do you think, Travis?
I mean, I'm definitely like I would love to see it come out sooner. I really don't think it will, unfortunately. Um, I think especially with the shortage of PlayStation 5s right now, still globally shortaged. I don't think one they're going to have the capacity to produce enough to keep up with the demand for it because this is going to be something that's going to drop and everybody's going to want. Especially after hearing news and news and news and news about no Sony's not supporting PS5 VR VR for the PS5 right now. In the future we'll look into it. Blah blah blah. That's all we got fed for the last 6 8 months. Um, but I think I'm gonna say 2022 2023 holiday season is probably where we're gonna look. Give them another year at least. Um, because I mean I still have my original PSVR. It sits right here. I don't use it as much as I used to, but it's still a really great system. It's probably one of the better VRs that came out before the most recent Oculus. The most recent Oculus definitely kind of trumps the PSVR now, but I think as far as like something that you're going to use as a enthusiast of VR rather than a hardcore dedicated VR fan, Um, I think the current PSVR is good enough to sit around for another year or so, as long as you got the support cables for the PS5 or you still have your PS4 to run a lot of those VR games on.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's just like you bring up a point that I was going to talk about. Is just like, yeah, it's just like if you announce this year, it's just like if you announce that it was coming out this year while PS5 is still sold out, like it's like everyone's talking about how you can't get a PS5. It's just like you'd only inflame people if you announced it now. It's just like, and also two big hardware releases back like year after year. It's just like that's gonna be tough. So like, yeah, definitely still don't think it's coming this year. Like as you said, like maybe holiday 2022. I definitely don't expect it early 2022. And then
Yeah,
I like, and then but I if I were to place a bet, I would say sometime 2023, all just to be safe, personally, because like
right,
this sounds like something that they'll push back all a bit, but
for sure. And we still
it
haven't seen the helmet.
yeah, but like, I mean, I don't mean like it's interesting to me that you say like it's something that everyone's gonna want. Is just like where I still view VR as this very niche thing. Is just like, I mean, like, yeah, being attached to PlayStation, I think it'll get a bit more love all than some other things. But like right now, I'm a whole lot more inclined to buy an Oculus Quest than all because like I mean, like again, it goes down to like some of the game, like what the games are going to um be on it. Because like the only
Right.
thing that I really want to play right now on Oculus that like I have a desire, I mean, on VR is like the only thing I have a desire to play is Beat Saber, and like
Right.
even my dad got an Oculus Quest, and I've played Beat Saber a few times on that. So like it kind of killed my thirst for a VR system.
So I think really it's gonna depend on what this is gonna be announced side by side with, right? Um, there was a few VR games in these past few years that a lot of people enjoyed and being within that stale ecosystem. I saw which ones definitely brought interest and which ones didn't. Um, there's gonna if PlayStation leads off with their habit of doing an Astro Boy game or something similar or a port of another game into VR, I think that it's either going to sink or swim the launch of this system. If you see a big Sony exclusive VR game that's connected to a Sony IP, give me a Ghost of Tsushima VR style game, something like that. That is where you'll see sales come in for it, and you'll see the hardware jump up in sales. But if Sony drops the ball and just announces another VR platformer that you get to watch somebody run across the thing in front of you, it's not gonna bode well for the system. And then the price point, of course.
All right, so I got a question. Do you think that the PSVR 2 will be backwards compatible with PSVR?
I would hope so. Especially if it's an upgraded hardware, there's no reason why it couldn't play previous generation games as software, especially with the fact that PS5 is already backwards compatible to PS4 discs. There should be no reason why it isn't. The only thing that I could also foresee is there being a digital upgrade fee, where it'll boost the performance of your VR games. Now you can see Beat Saber in 120 frames per second. You just got to pay this $10 upgrade fee. I do see that there is a potential for that, rather than just full port backwards compatibility.
I mean, like, so one of the things that I heard someone talk about is just like a parent is that, I mean, and it does raise my concerns as well as just like, whereas, you, okay, yeah, my thing died, of course, all, but is just like the PSVR one using the Move controllers that have like those balls at the end for tracking and everything. Like, it's a very it's a very different setup than these new controllers. So
Right.
it's just like there like there's a programming aspect of the hardware of just like what everything is looking for in case of like tracking and everything. and with these not having a giant ball on the end to let all for to use the tracking on, I feel like there's a chance that it may be game specific. Like I imagine
Yeah,
games like Astrobot, which only uses the headset and a DualSense controller. You're not using the well, I mean not DualSense controller, a DualShock controller. I think that'll be a whole lot easier to port over than a game where like beats like the I met Beat Saber is so big. You're gonna get a PSVR 2 version of Beat Saber no matter what.
right. Right. So it'll
But
just use the same software as like the Oculus.
yeah, so I imagine that, but like I don't think like some of the games that unless the Move controller was also ported over, like for games like Farpoint VR where like they had like that whole
Right.
like aim controller thing. Oh, you have one of those as well. So I feel like
I got everything.
I feel like it's gonna be kind of a case by case basis of what's backwards compatible and what can be moved over into PSVR 2.
I mean, I guess the only reason that I could think about it is because they did issue, you could claim the adapter piece, and that adapter piece is for your camera. Um, they're gonna they're gonna either allow that camera compatibility. It's going to be an optional compatibility thing because as it stands right now with the hardware they're showing off, there is no need for a camera. It looks like it's running on the same style uh, technology that your Oculus Quests and stuff like that are running off of. So if they weren't going to support that, why would they issue the camera support other than just supporting the PSVR on a PS5, which isn't necessary right now.
Yeah, but like I think, okay. I mean, like I think like the ultimate answer to that is just like I mean, like you bought. When did you buy your PSVR? Like a year or two ago? It's also like
2 years ago.
yeah, you're still a fairly new adapter to the hardware. I feel like it was more of a way to like to be like a bit consumer friendly by like it's like hey there's still you can still play this on your PS5 rather than forcing you to keep your PS4 around to play those games. I think that's
Sure. I mean,
I think that's really just like the small answer of it at the meantime is just like
right.
I wouldn't really go that far into it, but let's do you have any more to say or or do you want to move on to the
Yep.
next thing? Okay.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. All so PlayStation all came out. This is our last story for the day. All PlayStation came out and is continuing their play at home initiative with also a few indie games. Whole starting in April, starting March 25th. All you'll be able to download these games on your PlayStation for free. All Abzu,
Yep.
Enter the
Good old
Gungeon,
apps.
Res Infinite, Subnautica, The Witness, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Moss, Thumper, Paper Beast, and also Astrobot Rescue Mission. Wait, I already said that. Well, so like that's a total of 9 games, but also starting on April 19th to May 14th, you can also download us all Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. As
Right.
like this is something else. It's like okay, this is cool, but like, well, this is clearly like the last game that they did this for was Ratchet and Clank 2016, and now like out of the all of these games, like the first like the big AAA title out of all of these is Horizon Zero Dawn. It's just like they're doing this like twofold. It's just like this is clearly like hey look at this cool PR thing we're doing, but it's also like trying to get you interested in the games that they are planning on coming out this year because we still don't have a release date for Horizon, but like Ratchet and Clank is supposed to be coming in. The new Ratchet and Clank is coming out in June. It's just like let's get people play the old game, so get them excited about the new one. It's just like Horizon Zero Dawn. Get people in, try it. That people that haven't played that get them in so that they can try the new one, and then like it's just like I've heard good things about all of these indie titles. I've tried playing The Witness recently. I didn't really think a whole lot of it, but like Enter the Gungeon, I've heard a lot about, and that's out of
Yep.
like the titles here. All that's probably the most one I'm most likely to jump in and give a go. But what's interesting here is just coming off our conversation about PlayStation VR, you are getting 4 free PlayStation VR games there as well. So
Right.
it's just like I think they're this goes back to what we were just talking about with like trying to support the platform. Is like this is clearly trying to like the people that are like really paying attention. They want you to try out PSVR and get you excited for PSVR 2, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was it's kind of the same premise as like the early game, right? That Microsoft did. It wasn't at first it wasn't a lot of big AAA titles, but it was smaller indie titles, something for you to easily digest, to try out, and then that gets you kind of hooked into that system of them. So, I mean, like you said, with Horizon Zero Dawn, that's going to be the big draw to it, but because it's not, you know, it's a single player game, but it's something you can play by yourself. But it also gives you a chance to, hey, while I'm in this page, why don't I grab, Abzu? Why don't I grab Enter the Gungeon? And Enter the Gungeon, I think is less than a gig to install. At least it was on Xbox, so I'm assuming it'll be the same on PlayStation or pretty close. Let me download this game real quick, and I'll let Horizon download in the background. And before you know it, you've played 2 hours of Enter the Gungeon and forgot Horizon even finished downloading. So it's those types of games that are quick grabs, easy to digest, but it gets you introduced to some other stuff within the PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah, it's just like, man, I might also try out Subnautica. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but like, isn't it like a horror game or something? Or doesn't it like get real creepy at some point? Because like the
Yeah,
images that they have here is just like oh, you're a diver here, and then like there's like a picture of just like you going through all like this very kind of like lush under sea all world, but like it's like I could have sworn that I heard somewhere that Subnautica gets like really creepy at some point.
right. Like so it's a couple of different things. So you're looking at like, again, Enter the Gungeon is like a looter shooter, dungeon crawl. Subnautica is a single player kind of immersive experience that gives you a bunch of different experiences. The Witness, single player like puzzle game. So it's a bunch of different style games to kind of get you to maybe get into those types of games or find things more that these developers have made, and get you out of your Last of Us, your Horizon, stuff like that too.
Yeah, but I'm totally gonna go like regardless of whether I actually play any of these, I'm totally gonna go in and just like redeem all of them while
Yeah, claim.
while they're free. All I mean, like I don't have a PSVR right now, but I like everyone that that I know of that talks about PSVR talks about Astrobot Rescue Mission. I was just like,
Yeah.
so like that's something I'd love to play at some point. All yeah, but that's I think that's about it for today. Do you have anything else to say? Sorry.
No,
Uh,
no. I think we're good. I mean, again, like I said, it's just it. We're seeing a lot of experimental stuff come out right now, and I think a lot of that has to do with the state of the world right now. And I'm super excited to see what's going to come down the pipeline over the next few months.
yeah. All right. So Travis, well, as we wrap up our show here, is it where can people find you if they wanna, or if they wanna get to know you a bit better?
Yeah, so you can jump on Instagram. That's going to be the easiest way to find me. My handle is I am Phantom 442. It's I'm on there all the time. If I'm not posting food, I'm posting Star Wars stuff because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I'm going to be start doing some recorded unboxings of some new statues that are coming in. So be sure to follow me on there. I'm gonna probably have a Twitch handle set up pretty shortly. So follow me on Instagram. I'll make sure to post all that stuff. Yeah,
All right, cool. Thank you so much for coming by and being a guest today. And we'll see y'all and we'll see y'all next week. All right, bye.